Once again, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Alexander Platunov, and I'm happy to welcome everybody who are watching us from different parts of the world. Today is the 22nd of September 2022. We continue our festival, St. Petersburg Theatre Seasons Online, which is going on with the support of Culture Committee of St. Petersburg. We are sitting in the Media Center, new stage of Alexandrinsky Theatre. This year, we broadcast our festival to China. It is possible because due to our constant partner, Ross cooperation. In social network, in accounts, we have broadcasting of our festival. During the first day of our festival, more than 200,000 people watched it. Neva-Art and art project companies are very grateful to the Culture Committee for support of the festival, as well as our information sponsors, St. Petersburg Channel, Entertainment Channel, Where to Go, Radio Channel for promotion of our broadcast. Due to their help, more people will get to know about festival.
ВК-клипы, удобный видеоредактор, уникальные маски и эффекты и стильные фильтры для обработки. Еще быстрее, проще, вертикальнее. Теперь в отдельном приложении ВК-клипы. Место встречи талантов.
And now, will you please focus your camera to the QR code on the screen, for you could join us for watching the performances of the festival.
Напоминаю, что для наших иностранных онлайн-зрителей англоязычная версия трансляции идет на англоязычном сайте фестиваля.
English
Для того, чтобы
version of
увидеть
the
этот плеер, вам
festival.
необходимо выбрать
In order to see
английскую
that
версию
site,
сайта.
you have to just
Если у вас
pick the
открыта
English
русская версия сайта, то
language
трансляция,
site.
естественно, идет на русском языке без перевода. Также русская версия трансляции
Also,
идет
Russian version
в
of
нашей
the
группе
broadcasting
ВКонтакте.
you can see in our group and
Вся
contact.
служебная информация
this is-
закончена. Сегодня мы
Here we're
уже
finishing with the
посмотрели
information,
спектакль
and just
Петербургского
let
небольшого
us
драматического
come up
театра
to the
«Король»,
performance. We have just
поставленный
watched
Львом
the
Оренбургом.
performance
И
made
со
by
мной в
Lev
нашей
Orenburg, and
студии
here,
Лев
together with
Оренбург,
me, we
режиссер
have our guest
спектакля,
Lev Orenburg,
Евгений
the
Карпов,
director,
исполнитель
Evgeny
роли
Karpov,
Лира,
who
Сергей
played
Уманов,
King
исполнитель роли
Lear,
Кента, Вадим Сквирский, исполнитель
Вадим
ролей
Сквирский.
короля французского и герцога Альбанского. И украшает нашу мужскую компанию Алина Мустафаева, директор Небольшого драматического театра. Добрый вечер
is with
всем.
us, who is the
Прежде чем мы
director of
начнем
a
разговор, я
Nebolshoi
предлагаю
Drama
посмотреть
Theatre.
вас
Before
небольшой
we start
видеосюжет,
talking,
пожалуйста.
I want you to watch our little video. King Lear received its first success in the mid-30s when two great tragic actors, Vasily Karatigin and Pavel Mochalov, played in the performance translated by Vasily Karatigin. Each of them emphasized special quality of this role. Karatigin played decrepitude and oldness. Mochalov played parents' love in the first place. These were outstanding roles. After Karatigin, King Lear role went to Vasily Samoilov, who was an absolutely remarkable actor with unbelievably skillful technical peculiarities, striking art of impersonation and marvelously performed drama on stage. He was a unique actor who developed his new approach to the role. In particular, he had a task to answer those questions that politicians usually have to the Shakespeare plays. For example, we are familiar with Leo Tolstoy's famous article about Shakespeare, in which our great writer lashes out at Shakespeare, saying that the play was implausible. Why would the king want to split and share his kingdom? Samoilov gives an answer to this question. He played King Lear as an old and feeble man who has fallen into decrepitude. To pick up more knowledge, he went to the hospitals to look and learn about the feelings of dying people. His king gives out his kingdom because he has run out of strength to rule his kingdom. His king was a man who could die any minute, tomorrow. By his manner of acting, with pathological accuracy, he showed that death was inevitable. Maybe such artistic manner gave some tanning to the magnitude of the Shakespeare texts. But most profound leader in the Soviet theatre became the role which was played by Solomon Mikhoilos in the performance made by Sergei Radlov in 1935 in the State Jewish Theatre in Moscow. Mikhoilos was a great actor, and he was showing a tragedy of a man who understands the essence of his life only at the end of it. He understands that all what he cherished was in vain. He comes to realize that his greatness is totally elusive. So the main idea of that performance was to show the crash of human nature. There is no doubt that many outstanding Soviet theatre directors and filmmakers have seen this performance, like Grigory Kozintsev, who at the beginning of the 40s made his King Lear performance on the stage of Gorky Bolshoi Drama Theatre and later made his film famous. We remember that this movie very well, with Estonian actor Yuri Järve playing King Lear. They picked him for the role out of a long cast of actors in the first place because of his resemblance with Mikhoilos. This Shakespeare play is one of the most popular in the world drama repertoire. There are hundreds of productions in different countries. In Russia, it was made when there is no doubt when they picked him from many. In Russia, this story appeared in the very beginning of the 19th century. This version had a happy end. Gardeli remained alive. We can laugh at our Russian strange morality, but till 1823 they played in London the same version. We remember very well Yuri Butuzov's production in Satyricon Theatre, where Konstantin played King Lear. With time, there appeared some certain tradition to perform the King Lear role, though of course there are productions that break away from this tradition, like for example King Lear in Konstantin Bogomov's production in the theatre Comedian Shelter. Tonight you are going to see another untraditional version of the play, which is a performance made by Lev Orenburg in the Nebolshoi Drama Theatre. So, well, I have to correct myself that we've got Sergei in the hall, and next to me is another actor who... That would be more correct. I should say that, as always, we prepared for our audience, we prepared gifts for the audience, for viewers, who ask us the most interesting question. So, once and again, those who ask the most interesting question, he will get the gift from us. It was not by chance that I made such a historical introduction. Every time our festival shows classical pieces, and every time we try to understand what was a predecessor for the performance. Of course, your performance is in the center of the festival. But it seems to me that this performance shows very vividly an idea about the contemporary classics, the actuality of the performance. To my understanding, to my feeling, this performance is the most contemporary and actual. It answers all the possible questions of today. And my question is, Leo, this performance has such a long history. When you started to work on it, whether you considered the experience of your predecessors? Yeah, might be possible. Somehow I counted on the experience on the former experience, to some extent, not very accurately, just approximately. But your question, and the question which was needed to be answered by us, was, of course, the main. We tried to answer why Lear, why the king distributed the state, why he split it, and why he shared this state. That was the question which was very important for us, and we couldn't find an answer to this question for a long time. But then, as it seems to me, we managed to find the answer to this question. It's not just that he got old, not just that he got feeble or decrepitude, but just at some time, at some battle, he got a punch on head. And over there he had a bend on his head. So that's why, because of this hit and this punch, he forgets the words, and it takes an effort for an actor to remember words. So he's not ready, he cannot perform his function. Well, he forces some possible end of this story. Yes, exactly. I can agree with that.
Нет, я просто боюсь перебить. Давайте я все-таки попробую, да, направить. Да, потому что сначала меня интересует, зная, что такое количество предшественников,
how many directors before you earlier put it on stage. How do you feel? Did you see the movie with Yarve? Well, closer to our production, I watched everything what I found. Well, before that I didn't. I thought that Mikhailos, with his depth of his approach, will just smash me. So that's why I tried not to watch it. And then I watched it because it was very interesting for me, how they decided to do this or that, how did they approach this or that question. It was interesting for me within the process, because that wouldn't, that couldn't influence me. But you already in the work, didn't those things which you saw, did it affect you? No, no. When I was already in the middle of my work, all those materials which I saw, they could not influence me. The version of the 30s of the small academic theater, great actors, no, they couldn't affect me. Their approach of the then approach of that time to this play is not interesting. What about you, Leo? Do you prefer your actors to add things to the performance, read something, or when they are really fresh, they are more interesting for you? Well, you know what? I do not even discuss this with my actors. If they want, let them read. If they want, they may contemplate it by themselves. If not, then not. Well, but actually speaking, what I wanted to drive them to is to read carefully and accurately the text, because actually there is nothing but text. This is the only base the only frame of reference which we have is the text. That's the starting point, the text of Shakespeare. This is in your translation, or Pasternak, or who's else? Well, the play has editing of director. Well, this is just the... Well, your production is very new, unusual. Well, but what should actors do? To Vadim Skversky, because you're also an actor and director. How do you take the stranger's approach to the performance? Suppose you have your own understanding of it, and then the director offers his understanding. What shall the actor do? There is no any conflict, because we, as far as I understand, we all together make the story. That's why there is no any conflict of interest. What does that mean that you make it by yourself? We talked about sketch method. Do you have this sketch method? You know, when people speak about the sketch method, as far as I understand it, they mean anything. Whatever. When we speak with sketches, then we mean some sketch related with the play. Mostly this situation. Sometimes it might be not necessarily situation, but it might be the way to think, the way to speak, the manner of speaking. But most oftenly, this is a situation. This is what we call a sketch. Not just jumping by the plot, but a big support in our work with the play. But does the final result differ very much from original work? Yes, it does. What do we understand by the idea? If by the idea we understand the previous feeling of the play, then of course, yes, it differs a lot. If we try to specify our direction, the vector, then I would say then from the original feeling, starting from the original feeling of the overwhelming tragedy of the story towards the trash tragedy. If you can understand what I want to say. Well, this is a crashing tragedy. We've got a question from the audience. The question from Vasily Novikov. Was there an effort to coincide with the author? Well, what do you mean? Not in the meaning of to offend the author. No, of course we didn't want to offend our author.
Ну, наверное, есть, видимо, человек посмотрел спектакль и задумался о том, что
well, maybe someone, the audience saw the performance, and there was a question: is this Shakespeare? Well, it's a strange question. Is this Chekhov? Is this Shakespeare? What do you know? Who Chekhov? Who is Shakespeare? Who and what meant the great author? We do not know. We are not aware of his thoughts, but we try to read carefully the text. And is it Shakespeare or is it not Shakespeare? It's hard to say. What are the other ways of working over the role? Because your performance is very bright. It moves. It's very flexible. You have to work with the text, as you said, but what else? Do you have some trainings and exercises? No, we don't have exercises. Training and exercise all our life. What I can say is that some of the artists said that we work in a group, we create. It's a collective creativity of our group. And I could say that more than collectively, on the first stage of just exercising our, of just warming up with the twisting and warming up this material and trying to get everything what we can squeeze from the play. The artist's opinion prevail because they try it with their bodies, and the bodies, if we have the right approach in the actresses and actors' bodies, there is more meaning than in our heads. At least in mine. And then at the final stage, we, of course, have to correct it. Some correction, some work on correction appears. And it is based on my understanding and feeling of the play and the actor's feelings. Of course, our understanding is being formed during our discussions and working conflicts, and this is a normal work. But we never have some serious conflict situation, aggressive disputes. We do not have. But this is your type of a theater, what you have. This is a one team. You made your theater out of your students. Another question. 3 questions. What was the most difficult for director and actors? How do you see the main problem of King Lear? And how happened that actress Rybakun plays a fool? Well, I would start with the third one, because it's the clearest for me. Tatiana Rybakun wanted to play a fool, and that's why she plays it. And I welcome all this. This is it. So you want to say that if Daniil Shigapov would play a fool, then he would do that? No, he would play Lear, the king. And the most difficult is to learn by heart the text. It's a lot of text there. No, these are poems. The next question, what is the main problem for the characters? The most difficult for you, what was there for you, and what was the most difficult for actors? For actors, the most difficult thing was to learn the text. Because this is a poem, a poetry. Next question is, and this question we ask to all our guests when they come. And I was also surprised. Then, after your performance, this question is really very important for me. Of course, we understand, and I understand what is your school, artistic school. This school is really great, and what are the roots of this school, and I understand the personification. But what about Daniil? How can you get back from
на вас ваши роли влияют? Микрофончик.
Personation.
Вот как вы, да? Вот такой человек сыграли, его, ну хорошо, вы в шкуру влезли.
Of course, when you play your actor, you get in the role. But how do you get back from your role? How do you... the way out is one. We have only one exit out of the role. The end of the performance is the end of the role. Otherwise, you just go crazy. If an actor, well, carries all the feelings, all the sufferings, all the tragedy that has been translated to the audience for 2 hours, and then carries it home, then it's really... Well, I can tell you that he is kind of playing with you, innocent, because after the performance he washes himself, he takes a shower. Of course, there is a moment when that we spend lots of energy, we invest lots of energy in the role. You get tired physically during the performance, and you need some time just to stay quiet and have a cup of tea, maybe. It's good that you can get stumbled over the word tea. But how do you pick up your material for the next performance? I've already said that this performance happened to be very actual. That's why, no questions. Why did you pick up this play exactly? Well, the situation is easy, it's simple. Because I'm the artistic director, that's why, at least in the early periods, I was strictly took my decision basing on having all the actors involved in the work of the play, all the major part of the company. All the actors of the company are supposed to be involved, and of course the play have to be targeted. If it doesn't target, if it is not aiming, then you can transform it in such a way for it would really be targeted to the focus. And this kind of play was Madrid or the orchestra. But you are not very hustling. You do not hustle. You are not the director who hustles around. You've got a different approach. You mean about touring for direction and production? Well, we've got plenty of work here. If we speak seriously about that, when you make a production, this is a piece of your life. When it happens to me somehow when I used to make productions in Moscow and here and far from here, it's always blood. It always requires blood, lots of blood. And I don't have it now in the same amount as I used to have. That's why I spill my blood all here at home, during rehearsals here at the theater, at the rehearsal with my students. Well, I don't believe that the performance can be made quickly. Well, but your colleagues do work quickly. I do not remember that. Another question. Give us a secret. Who was playing Cordelia? In the video, that's Vera Trump.
Да. Следующий вопрос, пожалуйста.
Next question. Your theater is 20 years old. Why did you play King Lear? And can we expect to have other plays of Shakespeare? Well, I'm thinking, I would like to take Shakespeare, but in any of the Shakespeare's play, a number of women is not more than 3, but we have to invest lots of energy. It means that more than half of the company will stay out of the play, and unfortunately, it's not possible. We tried once. I remember we once started Hamlet. Yes, we made an effort, but we broke we broke our teeth trying, because nearly half of women actresses, they stay behind the play.
Yeah, we made efforts. Well, yes, we understand. We made an effort for Hamlet, then Romeo and Julia, but why not to take anything else? One more question. What lines or episodes are very close for you in the performance? Will you remind me your line, with which you remind me your line, which you say when?
Уродство сатаны, ничто пред злобной женщины уродством.
Ugliness of the devil is nothing than the ugliness of a woman. And again, the hangman on the stage. Will you speak more in more details about your scenery and about your properties on the stage? This is the work of Valery Isakovich, our artist, but he keeps working with us for all these years. And it was only once when I didn't work with him in Magnitogorsk. He has been working with us for all this time. Well, sometimes it was difficult for him to work with the company, and there were questions like, where did you get such an artist, such a designer, and where did you make the costumes? This is Valera as well. He's very talented. In the historical play, there is a style and manners of the epoch. How did the actors learn to and pick the manners required for the play?
Это будет фантазия.
Well, it's going to be a fantasy.
Ну как? Ну, чтобы овладеть походкой, я нашел самые старые ботинки в театре, чтобы гвозди прямо в пятки заходили. И тогда я почувствовал царскую поступь.
All the shoes, and then I felt the oldest and most uncomfortable with nails. And then when I put them on, I immediately felt how the king walks. Well, as for the crown, nobody wears crowns now. Daniel was experimenting with the cane. Why, Daniel, I want to ask him from myself, why the cane?
Мы в другую эпоху. Ты какую играешь?
We are in a different epoch. What kind of? As for me, I play the 14th century. What time do you play?
900 год до нашей эры, Лев Борисович говорит.
900 years before Christ.
Еще вопросы от зрителей?
More questions from the audience?
Есть?
Is Leo Borisovich have preferences regarding the character in the play?
Вам кто больше в пьесе-то, в спектакле-то вашем нравится?
Do you like best of all in your performance?
Я прошу прощения, Льва Борисовича еще можно спросить, а кого бы он хотел сыграть сам.
Well, you can also ask him who does he want to play himself, and who is his favorite actor. Well, I would say that at the early stages, when the performance was being, we were working just preparing. I have an idea, I have a wish to play something, and I understand how I would try my hand, and that was Crime and Punishment. All of a sudden, I wanted to play the old man Zosima. That was in the Brothers Karamazov. I even knew how to do that. I wanted to play an old Zosima, and I even knew how to do that. That was the scene with Pyotr Pavlovich and the whole family. Where Zosima gives a bow to Dmitry. And is not nice to Fyodor Pavlovich, and then comes the conflict. And that was clear how to play it with a big work, slowly, showing how difficult it was, with difficulties, with the sick pain to make the bow. And when Pyotr Pavlovich would scold at me, then I would...
Да, я думаю, что все понятливые, взрослые.
Шел нахер.
I wanted to say, go to hell. And I liked it. And I wanted to try it. Did you? No. No, I didn't. Because on the next stage, they start playing better than I do, better, more interesting, and that's why I lose my interest to my acting. Yes, the older I get, the less I show to my actors. Is it interesting? Well, Lev Borisovich will have some things which we remember for the whole life. It used to be. No, he shows very well when he feels, especially. The scene,
все герои хитрые.
All his characters are very cunning.
Я не знаю,
пока наши гости разбираются в своих внутренних отношениях, мы еще один вопросик услышим сейчас.
One more question.
Следующий вопрос тоже от Марии Корнышевой. Насколько тесно переплетается ваша театральная жизнь с реальной?
How tightly related your private life with the theater life? I would say this is one and the same thing. Because main part of my real life is my theater life. It happened in such a way, and it's not going to be in any way differently. But actually, you've got something else than Nebolshoi Drama Theatre. Do you work on sets? Do you have anything more than the theatre?
Есть, конечно.
Something else, of course. Of course.
Сложно бывает. А бывает, что и нет.
But sometimes we don't have. Lev Borisovich also has students. Vadim also has students.
Не знаю.
И еще вопрос, пожалуйста.
How to feel the epoch and how to pick up from the epoch in order to enter it in the performance. Well, I have a question. What epoch we are talking about?
Спектакли, в которых вы играете в вашем репертуаре, они из разного времени. Это учитывается
times are different.
время, да?
Do you count the time when you play the performance?
И как вы ее определяете?
And how do you specify? Regarding King Lear, we do not specify the time. What epoch Shakespeare was writing about? It is not clear.
Сказал, что 900 какой-то там год.
Ну это же шутка.
900
Нет, так написано у Шекспира, между прочим. Я, наверное, я один из
Шекспир писал, что в «Богеме и море» есть.
Вообще-то. Когда речь идет о Шекспире, видимо, со временем все сложно. Не случайно Шекспир до сегодняшнего времени современен, потому что он не привязан к какому-то конкретному времени, потому что очень тесно связаны со своим временем, но время проходит, они уже неинтересны.
Да нет, там уже на танках ездят, я вот смотрел эту
Well, in some place I saw them with tanks. I saw the version with Hopkins. Well, all our plays are not tightly related to time. It seems to us, at least. Because we are just trying to approach the time, but it's very conditional, nearly everywhere. Just slowly, we just approximately try come closer to the time. Is it in France? Is it in Russia? All our plays
are... А у меня к вам вопрос. А вы скажите, вы
Russia.
Вот все-таки я считаю, что Небольшой драматический театр, он особый, да?
Well,
ну, он
Nebolshoi Drama Theatre is very special one, and that's why do you know who is your viewer? What kind of spectators go to see performances of Nebolshoi Drama Theatre? Our spectators are different. I can't tell you that now I am aware about the spectators very well, and I can tell today very accurately what kind of audience we have, and to make the portrait of the audience. But now our theatre is on the way to understand. We are building the strategy, we're working on the marketing, and within the nearest time we will be able to make very precise, to come up to precision of the portraits. Most possibly these are people mostly 35 years old and plus. We've got young people, and we've got possibly we've got people who read, who are intellectually developed. These are people who know the material, they read, they discuss, they make comments, and this is the audience which is really very involved. And they give their comments, we always know the feedback, so the audience is really very alive and talkative. This is one of our major.
Скажем так, еще не углубляясь в анализ серьезный. У нас вот в рамках нашего фестиваля сегодня была такая ну, не дискуссия, такой разговор как раз о зрителе, да, и о том, какой зритель нужен и как его готовить. Потому что я думаю, что спектакль «Льва» больше требует подготовки. Не так просто, то есть требуется работа какая-то определенная зрительская, для того, чтобы их понять, прочитать и услышать так, как из задумывалось. Вот эта работа со зрителем, вы как-то представляете, как вот этого зрителя, ну, объяснить, что вот знаешь, что вот тебе сюда не надо, давай вот сюда, я не буду называть куда. А вот ты, да, можешь, потому что ты готов уже смотреть этот спектакль.
Для меня это are they ready or not? Well, for me it's very disputable and questionable. I wouldn't like to move away some of our spectators from our theatre, because we are ready to welcome any kind of spectators. So we welcome everybody to come. I think that 99% of the audience still get many things from the performance. Then, as for preparing our audience for the performance, we do carry out this work. We try to tell something about our characters and actors. We try to get the audience involved, to tune the audience together with the performance, and to try to share what we breathe with. We don't have any other ways. We do not explain. We do not give exact explanations like what is this performance going to be about. I remind to our guests that they will have to pick up the best question, because we've got a gift for the best question. This is the bag with different things. Interesting, and we have new question. Another question from regarding new technologies. Do you watch the video recordings of your performances? Do you watch video recordings? Do you watch your performances in recordings?
Нет.
I didn't see the recorded versions. No, I don't watch video recorded performances, because we have the St. Petersburg Theatre season online, and our festival is an online festival. I don't object. I'm just speaking about myself, what I saw live, what I could feel, what I could touch. is one thing, and when I watch the same thing in the video records, it's really painful. Well, as for actors, it's really scary. We need to fight with, and we have to get acquainted with ourselves on the recordings. Only very early recorded performance we could watch now, because the actors of the 19th century didn't have a chance to watch themselves in recorded form, and you now have the chance to watch yourself from the side. This is very individual work. Some people do really enjoy watching themselves in recorded way. We've got more questions.
Вопрос?
Ирина Муратова спрашивает, а есть ли среди современных авторов те, кто, по вашему мнению, станет классиком?
Contemporary authors who will become classical authors.
Кто из наших современников-драматургов мог бы стать классиком? Как вам кажется?
Ну, знаете как, вопрос такой, я думаю, не по адресу.
Well, this is not a question to me. This is the question to God.
Но я не сомневаюсь в том,
I do not doubt that among
большого потока
a big flow of contemporary modern literature,
кто-то станет классиком.
there is someone who will become a classical writer or a playwright. I could name some writers, and maybe even drama writers, who, from my point of view, are very interesting. But still, I cannot say, I'm not sure if they will become classicals. But who likes?
Будут они классиками, не будут, а вот кто сейчас греет? Небольшое освещение.
Вырыпаев. Потом вот очень симпатичный казахский автор.
Казах author.
Так, да.
Жанайдаров.
Потом автор пьесы
The author of the play.
«Щи». Помните?
«Си»?
«Щи».
«Щи»? Что это за пьеса? «Щи».
«Щи» как суп?
«Щи».
«Щи».
Так и называется пьеса.
Нет,
это не Сорокин.
Like soup.
А может, Сорокин? Сорокин.
Это Сорокина пьеса?
Мне кажется, да.
Я помню «Пельмени».
Пельмени это да.
Пельмени
Сорокин как раз, да. У нас есть ли еще вопросы?
Еще один вопрос от Валентины Зайчиковой. Смех и драма в спектаклях НИБДТ всегда соседи. Почему это так важно для вас?
Судя по всему, ваш зритель.
Ну, не знаю, так ощущается жизнь
Well, that's the
нами.
way we feel life.
Жизнь ощущается как колесико.
Well, we feel life as a big wheel. You turn it a little bit, and then you burst into love. You add more speed to the wheel, and you start crying. That's the way how life goes. You laugh and you cry. First we laugh, and then we cry, and vice versa. So tragical things and comical things, they stand together, they walk together.
А вот опять же, я еще раз о классике, да, ну, в силу того, что наш фестиваль на ней как бы зациклен. Как вам кажется, по вашим воспоминаниям, школьное образование, оно помогает классику понять или все-таки мешает? Устанавливая некоторые стереотипы восприятия классики.
It's on the contrary. You mean
институтская, да и
school, you mean the university or the secondary school?
Вообще, мне кажется, что школы вообще нет.
I don't think that there is a school, but the school.
Школа — это, в общем, тот мастер, у которого ты
School is the teacher with who you teach and learn.
Это и есть школа.
From who you learn.
И в смысле
School is your teacher.
принципов,
and from the point of view of methodology,
я жесточайший академик.
I'm very academical person. I'm very strict academician because
ни разу не ловил на логической непоследовательности.
I never caught any of my teachers on illogical methods, and everything what they declared is a very academical thing. And this is a paradox. When we speak about aesthetics of theater, in the aesthetics of work, you can be very free, you have the right. But when you are in the frame of school, you have to follow strictly academical
все
laws.
Самые знаменитые художники-авангардисты имели прекрасную академическую школу живописи, да, и мы сравниваем ранние работы Дали, например, и видим, что это прям такой 19 век, полный рост.
They could paint very well. I would compare it with driving motorcycle, because over there, when you drive the motorcycle,
Еще вопрос от зрителей. Последний,
the lack of school is very vivid.
Иванова спрашивает, что каждый из присутствующих артистов важного вынес для себя из спектакля «Король Лир».
Крутой вопрос.
What was the most important thing that each of you took for yourself from this performance?
Данил, что вы вынесли из спектакля «Король Лир»?
Ну, сложно как-то...
Well, it's difficult to say.
Зритель требует.
Да, я понимаю. Ну, пожалуй, такая магистральная история, что...
The story about
без любви,
that
без
without love,
участия человека в жизни другого человека,
participation of one person in the life of another one, with love, with compassion,
ничего хорошего
there is nothing good.
Не получается.
Nothing good will come out if there
А
is
я
no
думаю, что
love,
вы
no
помните,
compassion.
что с помощью женщин можно добиться всего, но можно и круто погореть.
Well, maybe with the help of women it is possible to achieve everything, and also it is possible to die. Well, this is a banality.
У вас что король Лир вынес из короля Лира?
Well, what is your
Радость понимания, что ничего в этой жизни, в этом мире, по-моему, не меняется.
Can change.
Радость понимания,
Nothing changes.
да? Жень, радость, а что-то вот не радует это меня иногда.
Well, it's one and the same truth. Nothing changes.
Буду аккуратен. Мысль ушла. Хотя действительно согласен, вопрос хороший,
well,
но
I agree,
такой
this is a good
не
question,
требует суеты в
but
ответе.
it doesn't require hustling in the answer.
Вадим, а вы?
Да я тоже не знаю, что сказать, потому что за многолетний период работы мы его делали почти 5 лет.
We've been working with it for 5 years.
С безумными перерывами. Параллельно пол репертуара выпустил в театре, пока выпускал «Короля Лира».
There were so many performances that came out while we were working on King Lear. There were so many things that we acquired, many things which we denied. It really requires very serious analysis.
Долгосидение, размышлений. Вот сейчас разом ответить, что я вынес из Лира.
What I just acquired for myself.
Не шекспировский масштаб, я бы так сказал, что не сказать так коротко, потому что это все-таки речь идет о Шекспире и о таком, сложном спектакле. У нас есть здесь в зале вопрос. Пожалуйста. Только назовите, пожалуйста, когда вы будете задавать вопрос.
Здравствуйте. Мне бы хотелось спросить, вот вы рассказываете о целой истории, целой жизни, которую вы прожили на сцене.
You speak about the whole life that you lived on the stage, and this is already decades. Do you feel, do you know that your audience changes? Whether people who come to watch your performances, maybe they became different. To what kind of spectators you would like to come out on the stage? What kind
мы как бы наметили в разговоре с Алиной какие-то контуры, да, но вот насчет того, что ваш зритель изменился, потому что когда был Мадрид, да, вот я помню, да, вот как бы там первый просмотр, в общем, очень молодая была публика, молодая. А сейчас она вместе с вами чуть постарела?
grow and the audience also is growing. Well, as for Madrid performance,
женщина это или мужчина, нам сказала администратор Маша Долматова, которая видела Мадрид только на самом выходе. И она,
who told us that she saw Madrid when it was just appeared, and then within 20 years many things changed, and at the same time nothing changed.
Ну, такого зрителя, наверное, было бы иметь неплохо.
Maybe it would be good to have
the
spectators who really understand all the changes that we pass through, and they pass through the changes, and they're still with us. Of course, we need the audience who is able to understand, to penetrate, to go with us. How far?
Насколько вы воспринимаете, ну, я не хочу сказать слово «соревнование». Вы имеете в виду, что происходит за пределами театра вообще? Вот ориентируетесь вы на какую-то моду в медиа, в кинематографе? Вот вы понимаете же, что ваш зритель приходит в ваш театр от телевизора, из кинозала, да, вот с каким-то опытом другой современной культуры. Вы это принимаете во внимание? Современную культуру?
Who come to the performance, they carry the modern culture. Well, of course, I accept it in some way by instinct, and I never think about that. I feel that that spectators, the young spectator, is different. I feel it, that they are changing, but I cannot describe, I cannot take upon myself this precision in description. And of course, you are right when you say that we want to the audience to come to be thinking and understanding. But at the same time, I got used to the fact that I'm not thinking about the audience, because if I think about the audience and what today the audience needs, then I won't make anything. I think about things what I need and what I like. And if God gives me such luck that I will go together with the audience, that I coincide with the audience, then thanks God. And if God doesn't let me have such joy, then it is time to go to
вы самовыражаетесь, что ли?
Я, в общем, да, я так думаю.
Ага. А зрители должна думать директор, вы так думаете, да? Я буду самовыражаться, а директор пусть продает меня как хочет.
Вот supposed to think about the audience. Well, I'm going to express myself, and the artistic director is going to decide how to promote the theatre.
Вы должны выбрать
Well,
лучший
now
вопрос.
you have
Мы
to
будем наблюдать за
decide
этим
which
процессом
question is the
в
best.
исполнении небольшого драматического театра. Выбор вопроса, пожалуйста.
So, will you please pick up the question which, to your mind, was the most interesting and the best question?
Дань, только в микрофончик, пожалуйста. Микрофончик, пожалуйста.
Мне лично понравился. Никто не смог ответить. Да, мне.
I like the question,
то, что вы несли из спектакля, да, каждый из них. То, что отвечал каждый из актеров. Ольга, напомните, пожалуйста, кто был автором этого вопроса? Это один из последних вопросов, да, что актеры вынесли, каждый из актеров вынес из этого спектакля. Можете мне сказать, кто это задал вопрос? Я разговариваю с воздухом.
Автором этого вопроса была Галина Иванова.
Итак, Галина Иванова получает этот замечательный подарок. Шопер, произнесем еще раз это слово. Поздравляем победителя. Наши администраторы свяжутся с вами и доставят этот подарок. Я же со своей стороны, раз уж наступило время подарков, да, я хочу вручить этот диплом участника нашего фестиваля «Петербургские театральные сезоны». Пусть в небольшом драматическом театре будет память о нашем фестивале. Спасибо. Спасибо вам.
Спасибо огромное.
Итак, мы благодарим наших гостей за беседу. Я надеюсь, тем зрителям, которые смотрели спектакль, разговор с его создателями помог хоть как-то еще добавить смысла к его пониманию. Я совершенно согласен с Евгением, который говорил о том, что это не так быстро формулируется, что этот спектакль требует размышлений и, наверное, более пространных выводов. Надеюсь, у вас еще будет время к этому обратиться. А мы напоминаем, что завтра у нас в нашей программе спектакль театра «Балтийский дом. Волки и овцы» в постановке режиссера Анджея Бубиня в 19 часов. Вы сможете его посмотреть. А в 22:00 мы уже теперь традиционно встречаемся в нашей студии для того, чтобы поговорить с создателями спектакля, задать им вопросы и высказать свои собственные суждения. На этом я прощаюсь с вами. До свидания. До завтра.